So good morning to all of you. So today we will be discussing about a completely different aspect of your preparation. It is neither current affairs nor politics nor economy nor international relations or anything else, because all of them you can read with little bit of effort. But what we will be discussing today is about what should be your state of mind when you are preparing for this examination. How to cope up with failure, because in this whole process, more often than not, you encounter failures than successes. How to cope up with your failure, how to sustain the momentum, how to improve your motivation, and ultimately how to realize your success, which you are dreaming about for a very long period of time. So first and foremost, what you must realize the fact is that there is a whole amount of uncertainty in this whole examination process. There is a lot of uncertainty. Why should we only talk about this uncertainty only in this examination? Think about life also. It is full of uncertainty. We never know what's going to happen tomorrow. We never know whatever that happens tomorrow will be good or bad. So when you cope up with life's uncertainty, this is very simple. So basically, what should be our attitude towards this examination in specific, and towards every aspect of life in general? Because once you know those things, automatically you can apply them to this examination process. Before starting all those things, just before coming to class in the morning, I got a call from one of our students, and he had written 4 mains, and this year, 5th year mains, he got into service, 5th mains. And you can imagine being an engineer, earning good amount of salary, leaving everything, starting preparation, spending not 1 or 2, 6 years in preparation, and every year attending interview and not clearing the examination, coming back again preparing. As you know, the time difference between the final results and the prelims is so less. It doesn't give you time even to cry also. Again pulling yourself, writing the examination, writing mains, writing test series, everything, you can imagine. So obviously ultimately, he had seen success. He got into IPS this year, and he is writing again because he has one more chance, and he thinks that he can definitely get into IAS. So how did those kind of people motivate themselves? And there are so many examples like this. Those who have been successful, unfortunately, those who have not been successful. In our group also, we have some members who deserve to be there in service in our Telegram group, who deserve to be there in service but who could not get into services after 6 attempts. They might have given 4 mains or 4 interviews, but they could not get into services. So it becomes very difficult. Emotionally, it is extremely draining exercise, because you put your heart and soul into it, because you believe that there is no life beyond this, because most importantly, everyone else around you puts so much of pressure on you. Again, 3-4 days back, I got a call from a student, and that person attended 3 interviews, not cleared. 5 attempts are over. 5 mails and 3 interviews. And then that person said that, that person was thinking of committing suicide. You can understand their feelings. You can understand their emotions. Why? Because you think that there is no justice left in this world. You think that everyone is against you. And unfortunately what happens is, people around you make your life much more difficult, miserable. They say that if you don't get into IAS, if you have to become IAS, you are considered redundant. You are considered waste. There is so much of pressure, external and internal. You are putting your, a lot of pressure on yourself. So it's more often than not, it becomes difficult to face failure consistently. And of course, we have other people who have been writing prelims and mains. Some of them have not even cleared the prelims also. Some of them have cleared prelims and mains, but again in their next attempt they don't clear prelims, and they start losing their faith. What am I doing is right or not? So we have these kind of instances, situations, wherein it becomes almost impossible to at the end of the day, it becomes almost impossible to not to feel the pain of those people. That's what we call it as empathy also. So under these circumstances, what kind of advice, suggestions can we give? In our group, some time back, one of our members has written beautifully about these things. When he spoke about so many people calling him and mailing him, those who have become successful as well as a failure. You don't need to talk to people who are successful, because as they say, success has many fathers, whereas a failure is always an orphan. So that is the reason why most of the time after the results, I do get a lot of calls, both from those who are successful as well as those who are a failure. But I prefer to spend time with those who have been a failure, because as you know, successful people have so many of them around them, so many people around them. They have suddenly achieved name, fame and status and everything. You don't require them. In fact, they don't require you. They don't require you. Whereas those who are a failure, they become all alone. And there is not much of difference between success and failure. A few marks here and there. And you might have got more marks than the other person also, but he is successful, you are not, because of various reasons. As you can see this year, EWS, economically weaker sections, the cut-off mark for them is less than that of the scheduled tribes or scheduled castes. So last year you did not get any services in open category. Now this year in EWS you will be getting IAS. So the life changes completely. You don't know. And then those who are in open category, they would feel that they have been robbed of their much deserved success. So the questions that keep on coming back to your mind: where is justice in this world? And then you start believing that entire world is against you. You start behaving like that, you should escape from this world. After all, where a successful film actor can commit suicide in spite of the fact that he had achieved so much of recognition and success. What about these people, who have spent, years and years together, studying in single small rooms, spending a lonely life, sacrificing everything, and still not being able to see the success. So what is it? What is it that they should be doing, or for that matter, what those who are preparing for this examination should do? What kind of mental makeup they must have, and how to get on with the life. That is what is very, very important. I'll just give you a few examples here again. The basic problem comes up is when we start attaching ourselves emotionally to the outcome. Those who have attended my ethics classes, they know all these things. The basic problem comes up with only when in our life when we attach ourselves to the outcomes. We attach ourselves so much to the outcomes that if the outcomes are not on expected lines, it results in huge amount of disappointment, which can ultimately lead to depression. And of course, we attach ourselves, and also another problem with this examination process is that the moment your relatives, friends, acquaintances come to know that you are preparing for this examination, they start treating you as an IAS officer, and these expectations put huge amount of burden on you. They put huge amount of burden on you unknowingly also. With so much of burden on your shoulders, it becomes difficult for you to do anything freely. So you think that you have more responsibility to fulfill their ambitions, their aspirations, their desires rather than your own ones. It is quite natural for your family members, but the problem is that the entire locality, the entire group, the entire gamut of friends and everyone else, the entire universe starts expecting things from you. That makes you much more vulnerable, much more uncertain. So these are all the things which you must take into consideration. So for those who have not achieved success this year, for those who could not get into services, for those whose attempts are over, so let us divide these things into different categories. Whose attempts are over? They have put in a lot of effort. Their attempts are over. Second category, those who have given 4 to 5 attempts, attended interviews and everything, but not successful. That means, but still they have their attempts left. Third categories are those who are giving this examination 1 or 2 attempts, are fresh candidates. Let us discuss about all of them. Come to the first category. Those whose attempts are over, they have attended 3-4 interviews. They have written so many mains. They had given their literally blood. In spite of that, they did not get into services. So what they should do? Simply go back and look at history. Take the case of Subhash Chandra Bose. He was a top ranker in the examination. Civil Services, ICS. Please remember, ICS in those days was extremely powerful. ICS officers in those days, they were called little Napoleons, as we studied in public administration. Little Napoleons, dictators. And you get into service at such a very young age. Subhash Chandra Bose. What did he do? He sacrificed He did not join. He left the service. That is the reason why we are talking about him even now also. Imagine all those people who got into ICS that year. Can you name at least one person? Or for that matter in the next 40 years, 50 years till independence. Can you name at least one person who is equal to Subhash Chandra Bose in terms of stature, in terms of integrity, in terms of popularity? You cannot. So obviously this IAS is not the end of the world. In fact, the moment you sacrifice it, it becomes the beginning of the world, not the end of the world. If you don't get into services, don't feel that it is the end of the world. Don't think that there is no light at the end of the tunnel. First of all, there is no tunnel there. So there is no question of not having any light at the end of the tunnel. You have come out of the tunnel long time back. What you can do is that you can start your life fresh. Of course, you can be a little bit late, because with the 6 attempts and 32 years, if you have finished your attempts means you are slightly older compared to other people. But it does not matter much, because what really matters is how much amount of success you have achieved, and not when you started moving on the path of success. Take the case of Amrish Puri, a film actor. He started his career towards the end of his 50s or early 60s. Can you imagine that? He started becoming popular as a villain. Literally, he started his career towards the end of his at that point of time when rest of the people in the world think of retirement. But still, he had become highly, highly successful. If you have to talk about the best villains or anti-heroes on Indian screen, he would be the first one. So, you don't have to feel bad that you will be starting your career a little bit late. It does not matter at all. Because what really matters, as I said, is how much amount of success you can achieve. And next thing is, don't start comparing yourself to others. Those who have become successful, let them lead their own life. If you start comparing yourself to others, especially those who are successful, you only feel pain, sadness, disappointment and depression. Think about those people. Think about those people who are below to you in terms of hierarchy, who are below to you in terms of everything else. Think about those people who don't have anything to eat also. Think about those people who don't have any roof over their heads. So compared to them, you are far better off. You have a good family. You have enough friends and acquaintances. And you have intelligence. And this preparation has shown that you worked really hard also. Put the same kind of effort in anything else that really is interesting for you. Definitely you will achieve success. This is what I would always say in our classes also. Neither Mahatma Gandhi nor Mother Teresa got into services. And all those people who got into services at that point of time, can we name at least one person? Subhash Chandra Bose sacrificed. Mahatma Gandhi never thought about preparing for the examination. Mother Teresa could never imagine also. But they are the ones whom we worship. They are the ones who are our role models. Can you name at least one IAS officer or IPS officer who is equal to these idols? Obviously not. So this is not the end of the world. In fact, it is the beginning of a new world. It is the beginning of a new world. As you know about the story of this Ali Baba, one of the richest persons right now in the world. He could not get admission into American universities. That did not stop him. Now his life is being taught in the same universities where he could not get into admission as part of leadership. What else do you want? So don't, I know it is very difficult to cope up with this disappointment. It will there with you forever. But you have to come out of it. You have to start your life fresh. Forget about what happened. Whatever may be the amount of pain you will be experiencing, you cannot change your past. Unfortunately, the moment that was over a little while back will never come back. So if you start repenting about your past, you will lose your present, and definitely you will not have any future also. You have to detach yourself emotionally. At the end of the day, you have given your best and you have to carry on. You have to move on with your life. As I said, all those people who had become great in this world, they could become great because they have sacrificed, not because they possessed. Mahatma Gandhi sacrificed power. That was the reason why he had become Mahatma. Subhash Chandra Bose sacrificed this coveted position in the government. That is the reason why he is our hero. Mother Teresa sacrificed everything. That is the reason why she had become our again idol. So for this materialistic world, IAS and IPS, all these things are very good because you can be really having a very good life. So don't unnecessarily put too much of significance in these things. If you are getting it, well and good. That is the best thing that can happen to you. If you don't unnecessarily feel the loss, because something really good will be waiting for you, provided you are willing to take it. So this is what basically whose attempts are over. Come to this, very important. Those who have given 4 to 5 attempts, 1 or 2 attempts left, and they have attended 3-4 mains, 3-4 interviews, still not getting into services. As I was asking as part of our interaction with both Deepankar and Anisha Tomar, I was asking them the same question. It was for both of them, it was their 3rd attempt, and both of them gradually cleared this examination. Deepankar cleared, I think for Deepankar it's 4th attempt. He cleared prelims in all 4 attempts. In 3rd attempt he got into services, and 4th attempt he got into IAS. So I was asking them the same question. How did they cope up with these things? And the answer given there by them is very, very relevant for us here. First and foremost, here, if you are not getting into services, accept the fact that you have failed. This is very, very important. I remember this year, I think in your general essay this year or last year. The same statement was given as essay. Unless we accept the things, how can we correct it? How can we rectify the mistakes? What happens with people who have been writing this examination for 4 or 5 attempts? They start developing a unnecessary, unwanted ego, thinking that what they are doing is right and the rest of the world is against them, especially UPSC. They can never clear this examination, because this is what we study in psychology. This is what our behavior when we are in say teenage. We think that we are right and the rest of the world is wrong. We think we are the ones who are epitome of righteousness, whereas the rest of the world is full of malice and lies and everything else. That is childish. If you have that kind of orientation and mentality, it becomes difficult. You have failed means you have failed. It is as simple as that one. You have failed means you have failed. A fact can never be changed. A fact can never be changed. It means that you have failed. Now, once you accept the fact, then the things become very easy. Since this is for those who are who have not been able to clear the examination for a time. I will give you again one more example here. Long time back, 2000, I think 10, 2009 or 2010 exactly, I don't remember. I was sitting in the office. Suddenly a person came. He said that I am so and so, and I have attended 2 interviews, but I could not clear this examination, and said that my preparation is perfect. That means he believes that there is something wrong with UPSC. Otherwise, why UPSC is not taking him? And mind you, in my whole student life, as well as on the other side as a teacher, I am yet to see someone who has more IQ than him. You have to accept it. Brilliant person. And with so much of intelligence, automatically ego will become part of your personality. A little bit of ego. You think that you are right. So, as I told him, like with everyone or anyone who comes to me, I told him, take the question paper and write a few answers and get it to me. He said that I have already written so many answers, shall I get them? I said no, because you did not get a service means those answers are not right. Whatever the things that you have learnt through your failures, put those things and then write your answers. Next day he got me those answers. And I just asked him, do you want me to give me your true unbiased opinion about all these things? He said that that's why I came to you, so give me the same thing. I said that, take these answers and throw them into the dustbin. I'm really surprised you got the interview call also. Maybe they have given the interview call because you have written everything. And it was a case of badly hurting the ego of the person. Here maybe you cannot be so undiplomatic. But I was very brutal. I said that take this junk in front from in front of me. And after that, he immediately left without saying anything. And I thought that he would never come back to me again. And surprisingly, he came back to me. He said that I have been preparing in a particular way. When you say that my answers are not right, I believe what you are saying. But tell me how to do it. I said, keep all your ego and just do the things the way I tell you to do. So what the mistake he was committing, and this is what most of the people, I just say, those who are writing for 4 to 5 years, the mistake they commit is they become rigid. They become rigid with their preparation. They become what we call in public administration Weberian bureaucrats, who are extremely rigid, who are status quoist, who are unwilling to change. And another big mistake they commit is that they equate information to knowledge. They equate information to knowledge. This is what to happen with public administration also. In the old days, there were so many people who were active on this social media, and they used to collect huge amount of information from various sources, and they believed that it was knowledge. Of course, they would never get marks. That's a different thing. I am not denigrating them or belittling their efforts. They were very sincere, but completely misguided. And in case of the person whom I am talking about it, he had so much of information. In those days itself, I am talking about more than 10 years back. In those days itself, he read almost every book on public administration, because in those days we had public administration in prelims also, and UPSC would ask questions from some obscure study material also. He read all of them, and he would remember all of them. He could remember all of them, each and every page. It was difficult for me to compete with him in terms of this information, because at any point of time he would have read at least 10 books more than me, and he would put all that information in the answer. So much of information. So what the mistake they commit here is, whatever the information they collect, because when you are preparing for seriously for 6 years, you are in 5th attempt, 4th, 5th attempt means you have been preparing for 6 years. You read so many books, you get so much of information, and you think that you have to put all that information in your answer sheet. Whether it is required or not, that's a different thing. You put all that information, and you think that you have written everything, still you did not get marks. That is a mistake he also committed. That is a mistake I can say, to all those who are in our group also, those who have written 4-5 times, that they are committing. And what is that mistake? They're equating information to knowledge. They read so much, and this is more so for general studies. That is the reason why they keep on getting average marks in GS. In all the 4 papers, they keep on getting average marks in GS. And what happens is, if you know a little bit of geography, if you go to this snowy mountains, Himalayas, you go there, you go to Uttarakhand, you go to this Kargil and other places, where you have only snow all around. If you look at this east, west or north and south, what happens is that when the sun rises, we say that it rises from the east, but in those places, it looks like it is exactly the opposite. You can check these things on geography also. And the same mistake they hear the people commit. If they don't get marks, they think that they are not able to get marks because they did not put sufficient information. And if you look at all of them, except very few of them, in their first attempt they will be getting reasonable marks. And they think that by reading less number of books, we got this much marks, so obviously let us read more and get more marks. So what do is that they will be getting into this black hole of searching for more information. And unfortunately, what UPSC is looking from you is your knowledge. What UPSC is looking from you is your ability to understand, analyze the information. That is what they are looking for. And they don't realize the fact that whatever the information they have is more than sufficient to write all the answers. Is more than sufficient. And they keep on spending a lot of time, for public administration. Earlier, we used to have these, some of the study material was, like Indian Journal of Public Administration, IJPA, published by Indian Institute of Public Administration. So, in the name of competing with others, they would study foreign journals. Someone would study, American Journal of Public Administration. Someone would study, other countries. Why? Because competition. So you are collecting more information at the end of the day, you are nothing else. And you are not focusing on the ability to understand and analyze, which is what is called knowledge. And coming back to the person I am talking about in 2009-10, in fact, this year his batchmate is also there in the news for all wrong reasons, or you can say right reasons or wrong reasons, whatever it may be. Reasons or wrong reasons, whatever it may be. His batchmate from Jammu and Kashmir. So coming back here, I told the same to the person that by putting so much of information in the answer sheet, you are creating doubts in the minds of the person who is evaluating your answer also. They are not looking for this so much of information. They are not looking for so much of a glut of information. They are trying to see whether you have understood what the question is asking and come out with a proper answer or not. This is what we say common sense. Intelligence is different from common sense. You can be extremely intelligent, but if you don't have common sense, you cannot be successful. That is what I told him. I said that completely change. He came to me after prelims. You have 3.5 months left. Completely change everything. If you are willing to change, if you are willing to keep your ego aside and willing to do whatever I tell you to do, come to me. He said that I will. And from the first test onwards till the 11th test, I was very severe in terms of evaluation. Even this year also, I was asking the same question to Anisha also, because in our test series she got in some tests she got very low marks. I always say that this test series is nothing but a mirror. The tests that you take, they are nothing but a mirror in which you don't want to see your real face. If you have the courage to see your real face and then take the test, whether it is general studies or public administration. So that's what I told him, and he was willing to change. He was flexible enough to change. He was what you call as a pragmatic, not dogmatic. And he was taking his examination in other city, his hometown. Our test series was over, and I told him after that test series was over, come what may, whatever may be the difficulty of the examination, whatever may be the difficulty of the question paper, whatever may be the mood of the examiner, whoever may be evaluating your answer sheet. I am not saying this only for public administration. If you follow the same thing for your general studies and everything, other optional also. In those days we had 2 optionals. I said that you will be the topper in the written examination. You can take it from me. You are going to top the written examination. I cannot say anything about interview, but you will be topper in written examination. And I told him again, if you are not there in the top 10 ranks this year, please come and tell me. If you are there in the top 10 ranks, you don't even have to call me also, because I know that you will be there. And of course, he was there in top 5 ranks only. That is what I say for those who are writing 4 to 5 mains, 3 to 4 attempts. Just be willing to be flexible. Keep your egos aside. If you are not successful, the entire burden should be on your shoulders only. Take the case of a personality test interview. It's very difficult because it is highly subjective. But in spite of that, you can get good marks. That's a different thing. But the main examination, where everything lies. Before last year also, one of our students, that person got very good marks in mains. I think second topper or like that in mains. But that person got very less marks in interview. Still, that person got a very good rank. So if you are doing exceedingly well in main examination, you will be certain of your service. You will definitely get a service, irrespective of your performance in the personality test. So what you have to remember here is that accept the failure, accept the fact that if you are a failure, only you yourself are to be blamed. If you attend any coaching, don't blame the coaching institutes. If you study any material, don't blame the study material. Nobody was putting a gun to your head and say that do those things. You have done everything on your own. If you are a failure, you are solely responsible. If you are successful, you can always share the success with others. Have the courage to accept. If you are a failure, means try to find out exactly why. If you are attending 3-4 interviews, still not getting into services. If you are written 3-4 mails, still not getting into services, accept the fact that there is something wrong with you. And there is no, nothing like, this option is scoring, that option is scoring, or nothing like that. Every year, those who deserve to score more than 300 marks in that particular option, they will keep on getting them. It becomes equalizer. So accept the fact that there is some kind of a mistake. If you are able to recognize the mistake on your own, it is well and good. If you cannot, find out a person who can guide you properly. That is very, very important. And this is what mostly happens with the students, because since they are in the field for 4 or 5 years, they start becoming mentors. In fact, they need mentors very badly. Find out a person who can guide you properly, who can find out the mistakes. Because as I said, you are so much emotionally attached to your own way of preparation that you don't want to accept your mistakes and faults. Find out those people who are not willing to praise you. Find out those people who are willing to, as I said, put a mirror in front of you and say that this is where you have gone wrong. Sacrifice your ego. What you will get is success. This is what they have to do. And they can easily be successful. I said that, the guy, whom I was talking about, with so much of IQ, he was willing to sacrifice his ego and everything else. And mind you, a very good person by nature, in terms of, right now also he is one of the most successful civil servants in the state where he is working right now. Extremely honest, very good person. But as I said, at that point of time, he was willing to sacrifice his ego and accept it. That was the reason why, he could achieve success. When he can do that, why you people cannot do those things, especially when you are in badly need of success. If you find out, as I said, the mistakes on your own, there is nothing better. self-correcting mechanism is the best way to reform yourself. If you cannot, then find out. It can be your friends, or it can be your teachers, or it can be anyone else. But make sure that you are getting that critical, unbiased evaluation of your performance, and accept it. So this is what the suggestion that I want to give to those people who are writing 459s. Don't let your ego come in your way. Very, very important thing. Accept your mistakes, accept your faults, and rectify them. You will definitely be successful. Of course, as we say, if you are determined, if you have a strong determination, the entire world will conspire with you to realize your dreams. That kind of determination is required. And with that determination, you will leave everything, your ego, your stubbornness, your status quo-ish nature, as Deepankar pointed out. Over a period of time, you become status quo-ish in terms of your preparation. You become stubborn, which is the major reason for your failure. Unwilling to change. This is what I have to say for this second category of people. Then come those who are writing for the first time, or who have given 1 or 2 attempts, and who have not tasted any success. 1 or 2 attempts, who might have written prelims or mains, have not become successful. So, after 3-4 years, you start questioning yourself, you start having doubts about yourself. Am I still competent enough to prepare for this examination? You start having self-doubts. This is there for all categories. So what is required for them? As I said, first and foremost, conviction, confidence. If you are not confident about your own self, how can you convince the rest of the world that you deserve success? Here I will give you the example of Mahatma Gandhi. One of the biggest strength of Mahatma Gandhi was the kind of conviction he had in himself, in his ideals. When he spoke about non-violent freedom movement, everyone would make fun of him. Nobody believed in him, but he had this self-belief that ultimately he would be successful, and ultimately he was successful also. Whenever you start something whenever you start your journey, you are always alone. You are always alone. So, what is required is self-belief. And this self-belief becomes much more important. It becomes much more important when you start failing. As I said, it will create doubts in your own mind about yourself. That is where you require more conviction. That is when you needed to have more conviction in yourself. That is what you need to have, that kind of conviction. Come what may, I will become successful. I will be successful. Come what may. Let the entire world conspire against me. I have that kind of confidence in me to realize what I want. That is the kind of attitude you must have. Never lose faith in yourself. Becomes very, very important. Why? Only in civil services. In any aspect of life, never lose faith in yourself. If you are thrown into a deep Pacific Ocean, you must have conviction in yourself that you will survive. Even though you don't know how to swim, that kind of conviction you must have. That kind of faith you must have. If you don't have faith in yourself, then how can you even attempt also? How can you make even an attempt also? How can you make how can you even try also? So have this faith. As I said, especially those who are not successful. Make sure that you have that kind of faith. Have this faith. And of course, if you believe in God, that also can add a lot to your mental state. Have faith in God. You don't lose anything. The feeling that someone is there to protect you, to come to your rescue, to assist you, to help you, will add more to your personal strength. That means there will be one more person who will be fighting on your behalf for you. That gives more psychological strength to you. Have faith in God. Whatever may be the name of the God, it doesn't really matter. Have faith in God. That He is always there to help you. That He is not going to leave you at any point of time. And whenever you are low, always remember Him. And it will give you strength. I said that it is completely psychological. There is no rational proof for all these things. It is completely psychological. But that is what is required for you. Because the moment you are successful, the entire world will recognize you. This is what we say. If you become successful, the world will recognize you. It will understand you. If you are a failure, you will understand the world, the real world, the real people who are your true friends and who are not. So take this failure as some kind of incentive to learn more about the practical world around you. so that when you become successful, you still know who are your real friends and who are not. So failure can teach you a lot more than the success. That is the reason why you see, when those students who get into services in their first attempt or second attempt, they would never become great civil servants in their entire life, because they have not seen any failure. They might see some personal failures, but they have not seen any failure when it comes to this examination. They don't know the real problems. So it becomes difficult for them to become really successful on the field. Coming back here, treat this failure as a stepping stone for success, and develop faith in yourself. And at the same time, as I have mentioned earlier, make sure that you are learning everything from your failures. Try to analyze yourself in a very, very impartial, unbiased manner. As Anisha pointed out in our conversations, I don't know how many of you have heard those conversations. Please go through them. I asked them very relevant questions. As Anisha, she said, I asked her, what is the mistake you have committed in your first attempt when you did not clear prelims? And how did you rectify them? She said that I identified my mistakes. I did not practice much, she said, the question papers. I was trying to read everything, which you cannot remember. And she said that she practiced a lot. And as I keep on mentioning all the time, if at all you are practicing for prelims, practice only previous year's question papers of UPSC. Current affairs, you can do anything. And whatever this year's question paper that you have, from various coaching institutions, don't unnecessarily waste your time in answering all the questions. Take the question and read the answer and try to remember. It is as simple as that. If it is a relevant fact, if you think relevant, then remember, otherwise leave it. On the other hand, if you have to practice, just practice previous year's question papers. And she said that she has done exactly the same thing. She said that she realized the mistake and she has changed her preparation. And that is the reason why next year she cleared the prelims. So this is what, again, next year she have written mains, and then she could not get into service, any interview call. Then she realized that her in the main examination her answer rating was not enough. And in the next attempt she tried to rectify those things. So this is what I say, learning, constant learning. If you are willing to learn, definitely you become successful. The same is the case with this guy, Deepankar also. Try willing to learn, not being rigid, and trying to be flexible. In all these things, as both of them I mentioned, you never lose the focus, and most importantly, through failure they were learning the right lessons. They were not getting into depression. They were not getting into defeatist mode. They were not blaming the entire world. They were not sitting idle. The moment it was over, the result had come out, you have to detach yourself from those things and try to be more unbiased, impartial in terms of your outlook, and try to learn from the mistakes. And that is what people need if they want to become successful in this examination process. Sit and find out exactly where you have committed the mistakes, whether it is in prelims or mains. I remember, we have discussed how to go about your prelims also. I think some time back we have discussed. Again, go through that whole class again, how to clear this prelims examination. I just said it is not difficult at all, provided you know what you have to do. Identify the areas, because geography, as I said, is very difficult, very comprehensive subject. It becomes difficult. So don't unnecessarily try to master the whole subject. You can never. Identify your strengths, focus on those strengths, and make sure that you are doing very well. And practice, as I said, practice all the previous year's question papers of polity, economy, history, culture, physical geography, and a little bit of science and technology, everything else, environment. UPSC will never ask irrelevant questions. They might ask difficult questions, but they will never ask irrelevant questions. Whereas in the test series that you take, they ask irrelevant and extremely difficult questions, and which can only result in you losing faith in yourself, thinking that I am getting only 60-70 marks in the test series. On the other hand, those who top the test series will never clear the examination also, because they're going in a completely wrong direction. If at all you have to test yourself in the prelims, just do the UPSC papers, previous year's papers of UPSC. Find out your performance. So this is what another thing that you have to remember. Next important thing that you have to remember on the mental side of your preparation is just keep yourself in a happy mode all the time. This is what we study in our ethics paper. Those who have attended our ethics classes. What is the relationship between happiness and success? I remember asking this question in our classes. Does success give us happiness, or does happiness result in success? The conventional wisdom says that it is the success that gives you happiness. Remember the day that you get into services, you will be there, here, there and everywhere, in newspapers, television channels. As I said, success has many fathers. You will feel extremely happy. That is what the conventional wisdom says. But that kind of success is short-lived. That kind of happiness is short-lived. Tomorrow in your services, you have got a minister who is completely a rogue, like what we have now in every state, who is making life hell for you. Then you start going back to your past, thinking that why did I prepare for this examination? So that kind of success is momentary, that kind of happiness is momentary. On the other hand, it is ultimately your happiness that can result in your success, because this happiness is linked to peace of mind. You can feel happy only when you have peace of mind, or when you are happy, then only you will have peace of mind. And this peace of mind can result in presence of mind, and this presence of mind ultimately lead to success. It ultimately results in success. If you have presence of mind, you will always be successful. So make sure that you are happy all the time. In the whole preparation process, there are many instances wherein you feel depressed, dejected. But that is where you have to, you develop any kind of hobby, or have a little bit of a good sense of humor. Start making fun of yourself. Start making fun of everyone else. But at the end of the day, be happy. Don't take yourself or anyone else seriously. The problem with us in India is that, including our judiciary, is that they take themselves so seriously. It is enough if you are sincere. You don't have to be serious. In case of our judiciary, it is the opposite. So don't take anything seriously. The beauty of The beauty of this Indian philosophy, what you call it as Hindu philosophy, it says that it believes in what is called karma theory. It says that your present life is nothing but a continuation of the past. Whatever you have done in your past life, you will be repaying all those things in your present life. And it believes in this destiny. Nobody can change the destiny. Have that kind of approach towards life. Then you will automatically detach yourself. Then you will automatically have that peace of mind. The problem comes up when you think that everything is in your hands. What is in your hands is only your effort. Beyond that, nothing else is there in your hand. Your effort. What is there in your hands is only your hard work. What is there in your hands is your honesty, sincerity. Make sure that you are doing these things. Rest of the things, leave it. The more you attach to the outcome, the more you will be disturbed. The less will be your peace of mind. Put your targets for today. This is what I have to do today. Do it. And that's it. Don't think about anything else. And enjoy your whole process of preparation. I keep on saying this thing again and again. The best phase of your life is preparing for this examination, because you will be learning so many things which otherwise you could never have imagined. Those who are from the science background, they would know what is fiscal deficit and revenue deficit. They would know what is the difference between fundamental rights and directive principles of state policy. They would know the difference between honesty and integrity. They would know what kind of foreign policy India should have when it comes to dealing with its neighbors. Comprehensive knowledge. This is the only examination where you can learn all these things. Enjoy the whole preparation, every moment of it. Have that kind of sense of humor. Take everything easily. Who can have that sense of humor? Who can take everything, very lightly? As I said, that start making fun of yourself only. Don't take yourself seriously, not the rest of the world, because you are not Jesus Christ, who has this burden of taking care of the entire world on his shoulders. So take it easy and do whatever you do in a very sincere, honest manner. And rest of the things, try to see the lighter side of everything. Try to see the lighter side of life. That is what is important for this examination. Have that kind of people around you. You don't want people who are angry, who are short-tempered, who are extremely serious, and who don't know how to laugh. The major difference between us and animals is we can laugh. We can enjoy our happiness, laughter. Have you ever seen a snake smiling? Even if it is smiling, we don't know. Even a snake is smiling, we don't know if it is smiling or not. But we can easily recognize other people. Automatically, when you start smiling, when you start, having that kind of attitude, automatically you will have that peace of mind. There will be no burden. It becomes very difficult to maintain the state of mind all the time. If you are able to maintain the state of mind 90%, that will be fine. That is what is required. Don't try to take anything seriously. If you are not going to get into sales services, it does not mean the end of the world. It does not mean that there will be a much more dangerous virus than corona that will wipe out the entire civilization. So don't take seriously yourself seriously. Give your best attempt. Be sincere. Have faith in yourself. Have faith in God. Be disciplined. As again, Deepankar and they have pointed out. Deepankar made a beautiful point. He said that he wanted to study 10 hours a day, but he cannot study 10 hours continuously. So that is the reason why he made sure that he would be sitting for 13 hours so that his net preparation hours will be at least 10 hours a day. If you can do that, nobody can stop you from succeeding. Have that kind of a discipline. Have that kind of motivation. Be sincere. At the end of the day, when you are going to sleep, stand in front of mirror and ask yourself the question, have you done everything today which is needed for you to get into services or not? Ask the simple question and answer your question in yes or no and nothing else in between. Yes means you have studied for 10 hours a day. No means you have not studied. You can deceive anyone else in this world, but not yourself when you stand in front of mirror. Ask the question and sleep. That is what you have to do. That kind of a consistent, sincere, hard work is what is required for this examination. As I said that you have to do it day in and day out, continuously for years and years together. When people do these things for years and years together, they don't lose their motivation because they could visualize their future when they become successful. That itself is the motivation. Imagine yourself as a police officer, as a collector. Automatically, you will be motivated. Automatically, you will start working hard. Automatically, all the negative thoughts in your mind would disappear. Automatically, you will have that self-belief. And of course, as I keep on saying, develop that laughter, happiness. The best medicine in this world is laughter. There is no better medicine than that one. With a smile on your lips, you can face any challenge in this life. I can guarantee you. There is no problem in this life which is not within your reach. You can do anything and everything. But for that, two things are required. First thing, as I said, have that peace of mind and happiness. Second, be sincere in whatever you do. Never be serious. The moment you become serious, you are doomed. Have you ever seen any of our political leaders smiling? Rarely you see them. I can never understand why they don't smile. I said that they are not Jesus Christ, who should feel the burden of the entire world on their shoulders. So, if you want to be successful, this is the thing. And last but not least, with this, let me conclude, this present lecture. Last but not least, this is not only for UPSC preparation, this is needed for your entire life. Always divide the things into two categories. Those which are in your hands. That means those which you can do. Those which are not in your hands. Do them very sincerely. Put all kinds of efforts. Completely forget. Which are not in your hands. Completely forget. What can you do? You cannot do. You cannot do anything. Preparing for this examination is in your hand. Rectifying your mistake is in your hand. Getting into services, is it in your hand? Can you predict what is going to happen tomorrow? No. Then why do you have to think about it? As Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, derive maximum amount of happiness and satisfaction in the efforts that you are putting. Derive maximum amount of happiness and satisfaction in the efforts that you are putting, and completely detach yourself from the outcome. This is the meaning of the word detachment that Krishna spoke about in Bhagavad Gita. Completely detach yourself from the outcome. What he called it as a nishkam karma. Kam means desire. So, what he was trying to say here is that derive maximum amount of satisfaction in the work that you are doing. Be completely satisfied with what you are doing. And if you think that you have to do more, do it. But never attach yourself to the outcome. And that is what Krishna says. I will decide what is good and what is not for you. Why do you want to take the burden of outcome also on your shoulders? I will give you whatever that is needed for you, because I know better what is good for you than you yourself think what is good for you. Because we can become emotional about ourselves, we can become sentimental about ourselves, but he need not be. God need not be. He would say that I will give you what is required for you at a particular point of time, specific time. I will take care of those things. So detach yourself from the outcomes. The moment you attach yourself to the outcome, you will be detaching yourself from the work. Little bit complicated. And you will be a failure all the time. Those who prepare for this examination, they attach themselves so much to the outcome, and they will be detaching themselves from the effort. It should be the other way around. What you should be doing, on the other hand, is derive maximum amount of satisfaction from your hard work, reading, writing, getting evaluated, everything. Derive maximum amount of satisfaction from what you are doing. Outcome, leave it, because as I said, if you believe in God, He knows the best what is needed for you. Today you might be disappointed. Tomorrow, that is what is good for you. There are so many instances. You get into, say, IPS, and then suddenly you went into a field for an encounter. There you are being killed. When God knows that this is what your fate going to be, He would make sure that you will not get into IPS. You will be alive. You will be doing something else. Have that kind of attitude towards life. If you are not getting into civil services, means there is something big awaiting for you. There is something big waiting for you. Have that kind of positive attitude and derive maximum satisfaction from the work that you are doing. Then you will never be disappointed, because you are not attaching yourself to the outcome. It is very difficult, but that is the only way in which we have to lead our life. Otherwise, we will never have any peace of mind. With these words, I think, let me conclude this lecture. I hope this would be useful for you. And whenever you are in doubt, whenever you are in depressed, just remember the things which I told you. And motivate yourself. Derive maximum happiness and satisfaction. And ultimately, you will achieve success. And have faith in God. If you are not getting into services, that means there is something better that is, there for you in your future. As I said, had Subhash Chandra Bose joined the civil services, he would never have studied about him. He would never have become a national hero. He did not. So similarly, if you don't get into services, means something better is really, knocking at your door. Have that kind of positive attitude. You will definitely be successful in life. Best of luck.